In this video, we will be making 4 servings of a modified version of Singapore-style noodles. The first thing we need to do is make the Chinese barbecue meat. To make the marinade for the meat, start by finely grating 4 cloves of garlic. Add to a bowl in addition to the following: 4 tablespoons of white sugar, 1 teaspoon of Chinese 5-spice powder, 2 teaspoons of cooking salt, 1 teaspoon of MSG, and I will also be using this red fermented bean curd. You can skip this if you don't want to go out and buy it, but it gives a unique taste and adds to the red colour of the marinade. If you use it, add 2 cubes of the bean curd plus 1 tablespoon of the liquid. Mix the dry ingredients and mash the bean curd at this stage because it becomes difficult to do later once the liquid seasonings are added. Continue by adding 4 tablespoons of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of Shaoxing cooking wine, 2 tablespoons of hoisin sauce, 2 tablespoons of oyster sauce, and 2 teaspoons of sesame oil. Stir to combine and set aside for now. For the meat, this is usually made with pork shoulder, but today I am using chicken thighs because it is significantly lower in fat but just as tasty. Trim 1 kilogram of chicken thighs of any excess fat, skin, connective tissue, bone, or cartilage that you don't want. Then cut into the thicker parts of the thighs on either end to even out the thickness. Then add the chicken to the bowl with the marinade and mix to coat all the pieces. This amount of chicken is triple what we need for this recipe, but I always like to make extra to use for other dishes. I'll show you how I store the leftover chicken after it is cooked. Transfer the chicken into a sealable bag or container. Also add the extra marinade. Seal the bag and put it in a container just in case it leaks. Store the chicken in the fridge for at least a few hours and ideally overnight. If you remember, flip the bag a few times throughout the marinating process to ensure even coverage. Once marinated, transfer the chicken onto a tray with a wire rack. Add the tray to an oven or air fryer. My oven has an air fryer setting, which in my experience cooks quicker and turns out a little better than a standard oven. I'm going to cook mine for 15 minutes at 200 degrees Celsius on the air fryer setting. But if you were using a regular oven, bake it on the highest temperature it can go with the fan on if it has one. While it is cooking, add the leftover marinade to a bowl in addition to 2 tablespoons of honey. Stir to combine, and this will be what we use for basting. After 15 minutes, take the tray out and brush on the marinade. Flip the chicken and brush again with marinade. Then put it back in the oven or air fryer for 10 minutes. Depending on how the chicken is looking at this stage, you can decide how much longer you want to cook it. I decided to baste and flip the chicken one more time and cook for another 5 minutes. There is no exact time or internal temperature we are going for here, we just want to get a nice caramelized coating and a few charred spots here and there. Once you are happy, allow it to cool, but don't add any additional marinade since it has been contaminated with raw chicken and won't be cooked again. Once cooled, take about 1/3 of the chicken and chop it into approximately 1 centimeter strips. This will be for our noodles. With the rest of the chicken, I'm going to slice half into 1 centimeter strips too, to be used for another stir-fry noodle dish. With the other half, I am going to cut into 1 centimeter cubes to be used for fried rice. Add to separate sealable bags and store in the freezer. When you want to make noodles or fried rice, you just need to let it defrost for a little while and it is good to use. Next, let's prepare the noodles. Fill a wok with water and bring to a boil. Take 350 grams of thin rice noodles. These are usually labelled as vermicelli. Add the noodles to the wok and stir until loosened and fully softened. Depending on the thickness of the noodles, this could take anywhere from around 1 to 5 minutes. The way I judge when they are cooked is when they fully droop down when lifting them. Once cooked, strain the noodles and shake off as much excess water as possible. Spread the noodles out onto a tray and allow them to cool and dry. While the noodles are cooling, let's prepare the rest of the ingredients. Take half a carrot and peel it. Slice into thin pieces on an angle. Layer the pieces in a line with each overlapping the last. Slice along the line into thin strips and set aside. Take a small onion and remove the ends. Slice the onion in half from root to tip and peel. Make a V-cut to remove the inner core on the root end, which will allow the strips to separate easier. Thinly slice the onion from root to tip to form strips. Set aside with the carrots. Take 2 spring onions and cut off the roots. Separate the greens from the whites. Slice the white part thinly on a sharp angle. Slice the green parts in the same way, but not as thin. Set aside. Weigh all your chopped vegetables and add enough cabbage to get to 350 grams total. Slice the cabbage into thin strips. Add the carrot, onion and cabbage to one bowl and the spring onion to a separate bowl. Set aside until ready for use. For the aromatics, we will need 4 cloves of garlic. Crush each clove with the side of your knife. Chop until finely minced. Set aside in a bowl. Crack 2 eggs into a bowl. Lightly season with salt. Beat the eggs well until they are completely mixed. Heat a carbon steel wok on high heat until it starts smoking. Turn the heat to low and drizzle in a little oil. Wipe the oil around the surface of the wok with some paper towel to coat in a thin layer. Add the beaten eggs and swirl around the wok to form a thin layer. Cover with a lid and allow it to finish cooking for 1 minute. Turn the heat off and gently roll up the eggs. Remove them from the wok to a cutting board. Slice the egg into about 1 cm strips to form long ribbons. You can add the egg back to the same bowl that the raw egg was in because it will be cooked again briefly. For the sauce, add to a bowl the following ingredients: half a tablespoon of white sugar, 2 teaspoons of a curry powder of your choice, which is the key ingredient which defines Singapore noodles. My personal favourite is this brand. Add 1 teaspoon of cooking salt, 1 teaspoon of chicken stock powder, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of oyster sauce, and 1 tablespoon of Shaoxing cooking wine. Mix to combine and set aside. And now we are ready to cook. Make sure to have all your ingredients and utensils close by for easy access. First, wipe off any residual egg if there is any left in the wok. Heat the wok over high heat until smoking. Add 1 tablespoon of cooking oil and swirl to coat the surface. Add the vegetables. Stir fry for about 1 minute. Add the garlic and stir fry for a further 30 seconds. Remove from the wok and transfer back into the same bowl. Wipe the wok to remove any residual garlic or vegetables. Return the wok back to the stove over high heat until smoking. Add another tablespoon of oil and swirl to coat the surface. Add the cooled noodles and stir fry for a few minutes or until they get a little colour on them. If the noodles are properly cooled and the wok is properly preheated, they shouldn't stick to the surface. I'd also recommend using silicone tongs or chopsticks to lift and fold the noodles, since it is easy to break them when using a spatula. Don't worry if they aren't fully loosened at this stage, as they will loosen more after adding the sauce. Once they are stir-fried, turn the heat to low and add the sauce. Mix together until the sauce is evenly distributed throughout the noodles. Then add the cooked vegetables, the egg, the chicken, the spring onion, and 1 teaspoon of sesame oil. Mix to combine. Turn the heat off and our noodles are complete. Evenly distribute the noodles between 4 containers. Allow to cool before adding the lids and storing in the fridge for up to around 1 week. To serve, just microwave to reheat and enjoy. Each serving contains 642 calories with 27 grams of protein, 95 grams of carbohydrate, and 16 grams of fat.